A man left me at a bar after he found out I slept with a black man. So I met this guy online, and we decided that we were going to go on a date. We were only talking for a couple days, but it was going well, and I was like, hey, it's Sunday. What are you up to today? You want to watch some football? We'll get a drink. And he was like, yeah, for sure. So we met at a bar. We're hanging out. I am not one that's like, how many people have you slept with? What's your number? Blah. We're f***ing adults. I could care. Are you clean? I don't like, why is this still, it isn't a thing. But we were watching football, which led into a conversation about someone that I had slept with. And so we were talking about it, and he was like, what? And I was like, put back a little bit. And I was like, what do you mean what? And he was like, he's black. I was like, yeah, I'm aware. So I was a little put off by it, but then he got like super intense, and he was like, you f***ed a black man? And I was like, sir. Like, he turned into like an exorcist. I was like, what? What? And to be fair, at this point, the date was over for me, but I was like, what is wrong with you? And he like went into this whole big thing about, I'm not even going to repeat all the shit he said about like being dirty and all that. And I was like, what is wrong? So this is where I started planning my exit. And I was like, okay, how am I going to get out of here? I can't freaking sit here with this guy anymore. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Now, I drove myself, so I full on planned on whatever, leaving by myself anyway. But I was like, okay, I'm trying not to ghost people or be like a crazy person. He had my phone number, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I come back out, he was gone. I was like, that worked out perfect. So I sat at the bar for the rest of the time. I met the bartender. Her name was Tara. We had a great time. And what in the actual fuck is dating?
You guys, I am all dressed cute, ready to go on a date. My date comes, he's 40 minutes late. He's 40 minutes late to pick me up. He comes into my house. He uses my bathroom. And then he breaks up with me while I'm wearing this cute outfit. And now I'm sitting here crying. I'm just wondering when this is gonna stop happening. Oh my God, this man. He has $67 in his bank account. And I'm literally crying about him.
I figured I would tell this dating story while my makeup is still on, but y'all, this is the best one. Well, it's tied. If you're an OG follower from my first original page, then you guys will remember this story because I got on live leaving his house. So this is the guy that took me to California Pizza Kitchen and didn't order anything on the first date, right? I wasn't upset because he knows I love butter cakes, so whatever. Also, he was a little musty because he had just come from the gym. I don't understand why he didn't take a shower or change the clothes. Anyway, he had come to my house before, and this was like our second date, so I was like, all right, whatever, it's time to go to his house. So he invited me over to his house one night, and I was doing my blowout, my silk press, and he was rushing me through the silk press, so I was considering not even doing my baby hair. I get there, he don't like the way I parked. I got to repark 3 times, and then finally he goes, let me do it for you. So then we go inside. He's cooking sweet potatoes, by the way. He's like, these are my favorite thing to cook is roasted sweet potatoes. I look at them sweet potatoes, half of them burnt because he didn't chop them up in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. So he didn't learn to cut symmetrically from Gordon Ramsay or his mother, but that's neither here nor there. Also, he had 2 roommates. 2, so that means 3 people in a 2-bedroom house. You 34 years old and you're a structural engineer. Why you got 2 roommates? They had a sheet separating the bedroom, so he have his mattress on the floor with an airplane blanket on a mattress, and then on the other side is his friend's room. Let's go back to the food for a second, because he was eating this really large bowl of salad and he had it underneath his arm like a football and was eating it like this, and it was really strong smell of vinaigrette, and he kept asking me to kiss him, and I was like, nah man, I'm not about to kiss you while you're eating a salad. And he was like really forceful about it, and I was like, no fam. He goes, I want to watch a movie with you. I'm like, okay, but I'm looking around, ain't no TV. How y'all is 3 people and nobody got a TV? Okay, so he goes, let me go and get my Dell computer. He opened up the Dell computer. This is the part that everybody remembers. He has like a million icons all over his home screen, and I'm immediately stressed out. I'm like, bro, just close the deal. He's opening the internet browser, and he's like, I think it's a little too late to ask my brother for his Netflix password. So he looks at me like, bitch, you gonna give me your Netflix password? I'm looking at him like, oh no, you got me fucked. So he turns on a free Amazon movie, y'all. It was like a Roman movie, and I wasn't feeling it. I'm like, can we at least pay for a movie? He paid $3 for the Taraji P. Henson movie where she can hear men's thoughts. So I'm on the mattress with the airplane blanket on the floor on his side of the room watching this Taraji P. Henson movie with the Dell computer, and his phone goes off because it's his bedtime, so he kicks me out. Y'all, I was about to get in the shower, but I forgot this part. So this is back in the day where Instagram, you had peak posting times. And of course, if you're an influencer, you got your timer set like, okay, it's 6 o'clock, this is my peak posting time. So when I'm at his house, it was one of my peak posting times. So I was like, oh, hold on, let me just post this real quick. He took my phone out my hands and threw it, swear. And his roommate gonna go, we're not a phone house, we're an in-person house. But the gag is, this is my job, so it's like, you weren't respectful of my job, but you want me to be respectful of your job when your bedtime comes and I need to go because you have to go to work in the morning. The math isn't mathing. Make it make sense.
You can get in.
Who are you?
What you mean?
You are not the man in this picture.
No, I took that picture when I was in Africa. Yeah, but you can come in. Come sit down.
Where are your eyebrows?
The first time I ever went on a Tinder date, I got scammed $3,000, and that's the last time I've ever been on a Tinder date. So this guy was gorgeous. He picks me up and he's normal, but the whole entire time, we're just talking about the Forex market. And during that time, I was learning about investing, and I was like, this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about, and I really want to know more. So after the first day, it was really chill. There was not a kiss or anything involved. I'm like, this guy is so respectful. And we had a couple more dates, but it was mostly just us talking about the Forex market. Should have been my red flag right there. Some of my other friends, turns out, was friends with him, and he turned out to be a Nigerian prince. So I was like, I'm going out with the prince, I guess. I don't really know how royalty works in Nigeria, but I looked up his last name. It turns out he really was a prince, but I never really said that to him or like told him that I knew that. So after about 2 months of us talking, he asks me if I can give him $1,000 to invest in one of his funds because he started his own new brokerage or something, and he has a way to make $1 million. So me being silly decides to give him $3,000 because he told me that he'll triple my money. 6 months down the line, he tells me that this brokerage office is scamming him and not giving him his $1 million or whatever that he needs, and he pretty much lost her money. And he goes back with this brokerage office, makes up with them somehow, and starts investing with them again, and says that he's gonna make her money back. So it's been about 2 years of me not getting my money back, and everyone told me, you know what, Chanel, you're not getting that money back, but I had faith I was getting that money back. So it's been 2 years down the road, and this guy pretty much tells me that the only way he could stay in Canada, because he doesn't want to go to school and he doesn't want to work, he has to get married. So he pretty much got down on his hands and knees and asked to marry me. I'm like, dude, you haven't even paid me my money back. You think I'm gonna marry you? But I'm like, this is my chance to get my money. So I tell him if he brings me back the money that he owes me, not even tripled or doubled or anything, just the money that he owes me, and does that, I'll marry him. So this dude comes over with an expensive necklace and my money, and we call up the marriage place to get married. And this girl is literally like, yeah, I'll marry you guys next week. You guys just need to go sign these papers. So he's like, tomorrow when it's open, you and me will meet with our IDs and we'll go sign these papers to get married. And you'll never have to worry about anything for the rest of your life because I got you for helping me out, even though it's not a real marriage. I was like, this dude just scammed me. I literally had to scam him back to get my money back. And he thinks I'm actually gonna marry him? What? So that's why you'll never see me on Tinder ever again. And if you do want to go on Tinder, you might just come across a Nigerian prince who gets to scam you. You never know. You never know.
What's up, beautiful people? Don't know, it's your favorite island girl, Jody from the 876. And as usual, we're always a dive. We're always swimming, we're always diving around here. So we're diving into the whole topic of online dating. And I have a whole collection of Tinder horror stories that will leave you laughing, cringing, and just maybe questioning your next swipe. From dates that took unexpected turns to just downright bizarre encounters, these TikTok story times will showcase the highs and lows of modern day dating. So if you've ever had a date that went horribly wrong, or you've just heard of some crazy story times, then this video is definitely for you. Of course, before we jump into all of this craziness, guys, I'm going to ask you to just like this video for your girl. It's an easy and a free way to, of course, support my channel. And if you're new here, please subscribe, and you can indicate same by dropping some palm trees with a right yes sir down in the comment section, so we can officially welcome you to the Islanders family. So let's enjoy this video, and I'll come back in intervals with, of course, my thoughts. Let's go.
And for free meals and dinner scammers, all that, are actually past a certain age.
I called online dating quits after my final experience. I was online dating and I matched with this guy, and he was well over in his 50s, his late 50s. And he asked me out for coffee. I said, "Oh, sir, I don't do coffee. I only do dinner dates." And he said, "Oh, well, I only do coffee dates. I don't do dinner dates." I said, "Okay, that's fine. I don't think we're a match because coffee dates, from my experience, are a waste of time. Most people get coffee and they want to rush back off to work, which is reasonable because you're enjoying coffee sometime in the morning and you got to get back to work." And he goes, "Well, that's what I prefer." I said, "That's awesome." I said, "You got to understand, you're in your 50s. I'm just in my early 30s. I said, I'm not interested in going to coffee with an older man." And he said, "Well, I'm not interested in going to coffee with a woman who doesn't have a career, etc. So I make sure I just do coffee so I can fill you out, so I can see that you have a career, you have your own thing going for you." And I said, "Okay, what is the benefit of me going to coffee with you when I can go to coffee with a man my age?" And he goes, "Well, it's not about the money." I said, "Exactly. It's not about the money. So that's why I would like to go for dinner. But we are clearly not a match. But thanks for your time." He didn't stop there. He proceeded to call me a gold digger because I wanted to go for dinner, and my preference was dinner dates. Well, after explaining why I don't do coffee dates. And so I was polite, but at that point I said, "You know what? I'm taking the polite hat off. Sir, you are 58 years old. You want to date someone who's 32 years old." I said, "Sir, wake up. No woman in her 30s wants to go to coffee with you." I said, "If you're broke, just say that." And he said, "You know what? I'm not broke." And he went on this whole spree of how he has so much money. Sir, you have so much money, but you want to save money on dates and take women for coffee. For what purpose? And he proceeds to say, "Well, I have certain standards for my woman." And I said, "That's absolutely amazing. Maybe you should try dating a woman who is your age. Go to coffee with a 58-year-old woman." "Oh, you don't do it, sir, because you can't fool them. They're not going to go to coffee with you because it's a waste of time."
That's it. I'm done with Tinder. I'm over it. The biggest Tinder disaster of them all. This guy and I matched on Tinder, and we chatted, and pretty much straight away he was like, "We should definitely catch up, blah, 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 blah." Now, let me just say, when I do my Tinder profile, I'm very careful about how I present myself, I guess. I don't want to just show my face and then people to meet me and be like, "Oh, I didn't realize she looked like that," or whatever. I have full body photos because I want people to and this is it. I'm not embarrassed by who I am and what I am. And people are either going to be into a curvy babe or not. And that's totally fine with me. This guy had, I have 8 photos, so people can get a really good idea. I do not want to catfish anybody because that is just not what I'm about. So we'd been chatting a lot on Messenger. I'd sent him photos of me all throughout when we were chatting. He would love heart them. It wasn't like he didn't know what I was going to look like, seriously. So anyway, we decided that we were going to catch up on Sunday afternoon, and he rang me and he was like, "Oh, do you want to have a few beers, catch up?" And I was like, yeah, we'll have a few beers. And he was like, "Oh, well, do you want to pick me up? And we can, catch up, have a few beers and la la la." I was like, "Sweet as." And so he was like, "Cool." So he sent me his address. He only lives like around the corner from where I live. I went around to pick him up, got myself all ready, and I was just wearing like cash clothes because, you know, it was Sunday and it was cold and I just wanted to be warm. So a little bit of makeup, but nothing major. So he's like, I'll meet you at the front. So I rock up to his place. He's kind of like standing at the front, and I just pulled over and I was like, hey. He opened the door. He was wearing a t-shirt and a pair of jeans, and it was cold, like it was cold. And he looked down and he was like, oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, it's quite cold, eh? Or something like that. And I was like, yeah, it is quite chilly. And he was like, oh, all my hoodies and stuff are wet and I haven't got like a hoodie or a jacket. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh, well, oh, good. Awkward. And then he was like, I'll just go in and see what I can find, and I'll get my box of beer and I'll meet you back at the car. And I was like, okay, sweet. So I'm sitting there waiting, and he sends me a message. Hey, I've decided I'm just going to start home. It's really cold today. So obviously I can laugh about it now because, like, it's quite mind-blowing. I've spoken to some of my friends about it, and they're just like, what? Like, what? Like, even guy mates. And they're just like, this is just weird. Like, and I'm like, okay. At the time, I felt like real shit. Like, obviously I was just like, okay, did he just, like, look at me and go, nah, done, not doing that? I just can't think of an explanation as to why he would do that. Like, why not just, like, catch up? Like I said, there's no fucking expectations. It's not like I'm going to get him in the car and, like, I don't know, try and ride him like Seabiscuit. I don't know. Like, I'm not, that's not what I'm about. But it's like, yeah. So I felt like a real piece of shit. But now I'm just like, that's it. I'm done with Tinder. I'm over it. So it kind of took me back to ways that I've felt in the past and ways that I've been treated. And I was just like, man, you know what? I deserve so much better than this. And the fact that I matched with him thinking he's not really my cup of tea, but, you know, you never know. Like, you've got to give people a bit of a chance. And then I'm like, he ain't no fucking oil painting. And, yeah, you know, like I said at the start, it's not like I am pretending to be someone I'm not, or showing that I'm like 20 kgs skinnier and I'm not. That's not me. So yeah. So if anyone has any kind of ideas on what they might think about that situation, let me know. But oh my God, seriously, what is up with the dating world in New Zealand?
Got feminism blowing up and everything. What about men's rights?
Stephen that I went on a couple of dates with, he started messaging me again. Hey Katie, it's been a while. I've been holding back on this for a while, but I really just have to get it off my chest. You've not been in contact with me since our last date. Like, come on. And he's left me loads of voice messages.
Please play him, please.
Like, come on, what is this? I took you out on a date and now you're not in contact with me anymore. Like, you know how in modern day society, like, you've got feminism blowing up and everything. What about men's rights? What about the fact that I pay for everything when we're on a date? What are you going to do about it? Like, I feel like I need to be repaid for what I gave, and then, like, nothing came of it, so you're wasting my time like any normal person. Like, come on, like, this is ridiculous.
Is he having a laugh?
So, like, I've calculated everything out, and it's come to about, like, I spent well over £300, so I'm going to say you owe me 150 quid for every single date that we went on. Pay in half, pay your way forward. That's how it works.
He wants money back.
Like, you can't be there not talking to me and going, I'm just going to take him out and I'm going to go with him on a date, and you ate half the food, so you can pay for half the date. So
You took me for food? Of course I ate the food!
I'm expecting you to pay me. Let me spell it out for you, like, very, very easily, you know?
No, we didn't.
When you go on a date with a person, you normally have to be in contact with them afterwards, you know? That's like the normal thing that goes on in a person's
He's
brain.
still giving me dating advice.
This is psycho behaviour.
I can't even listen to them all.
I didn't even enjoy the date.
So yesterday was the first day in my life I have ever abruptly just left a date. Just left. I was just like, I gotta walk away. So this guy yesterday I met, 2 days before yesterday I met him, and he texted me. He was like, hey, what you doing? Do you want to go meet at the place that we met at and have drinks? First round on me, right? And so I was like, yeah, sure, let's do that. So we get to the place, and there's like a mom and pop's catfish place next door. So he's like, oh, I'm kind of hungry. I want some food. What you want? I said, just whatever type of fish you got. So he comes back with one fish chicken fry basket. So we split it. And then the bartender comes out. We order our drinks, and he's like, oh, you going to pay for the drinks? I was like, no. I was like, you said first round was going to be on you. And he was like, oh, I can't stand women. They only want to get free drinks and food for free from men and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You literally said in your text message that the first round of drinks was on you. He goes, well, I paid for the food over here, and you can at least pay for the drinks. I'm like, you said you were hungry. You ordered food. You said the first round of drinks was on you. So I don't understand what the problem is right now. And he's like, well, you got money. You could pay for it. I say, I could pay for it, but that was not the deal. You said you were going to pay for the first round. And he was just like going off. And he's like, you do it. You pay for the drinks. I'm like, I'm not paying for the drinks. Like, I don't understand what the problem was. Like, write me if I was drunk. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to walk away. I didn't even get to enjoy my drink. I was so mad because it was so good. It was a spicy lavender margarita, and I didn't even get to drink. I took maybe like 3 sips out the drink, and I just walked away and walked to my car. I was like, this man has got me effed all the way up.
So I met this guy in Edmonton, and again on Tinder. I was new to this city, and we strike up a conversation. We're hitting it off. He's interested in the same things as me, wants the same things as me, lives with his best friend, his wife, and that daughter, who he's the godfather of. And he's in school to be the teacher of our children today. And so we have a date set, and it's like around Halloween-ish or something. But then he actually asks for our date to be sooner. And he asks me if I would like to take his goddaughter trick-or-treating with him. And to me, that was like, okay, like he must be looking for something serious. He must see those qualities in me to ask me to do that with him. At the time, I wasn't drinking, and he said he wasn't a drinker either. And yeah, we had plans to trick-or-treat with his goddaughter. But then super last minute, he was like, hey, actually, do you mind going to a house party with me? Like, I just have to make an appearance for my friends. And this guy has a cute little dog, and he's always bragging about, like, what a good dog daddy is for his dog. And so he's like, yeah, we're just making an appearance for my friend's party. So he brings the dog and me, and I'm new to Edmonton. I have no idea where I am. I meet him at his house, and before I'm even in the door, like, to get my shoes off and say hello to him, he's ushering us out the door to this party with his dog. Which, by the way, he then forgot his dog in the truck for a couple hours. And he also had a case of beer. So we go to this party that he drives us to, and he starts playing like flip cup and beer pong. And this guy is telling me that he doesn't drink, and he just wants to make an appearance. And he drove us to the party, me, his roommate, and himself. And I'm looking at the clock, and I'm like, is this guy going to be ready to go soon? Like, what the fuck? It's 11 o'clock. And he had even asked me, he's like, are you ready to go soon? I'm like, yeah, whenever you are. And so this is at 11, and I'm like, I'm fucking ready to go. A couple hours pass, and this guy has obviously drank too much to drive, and I'm fucking pissed. Like, I'm sitting on the couch, mad. His roommate's there, staring at me. He can see how mad I am. And I'm mad. Like, this guy told me he doesn't drink, he doesn't party, we're into the same things, and here we are at a fucking party, and he can't drive. And I had 1 glass of wine hours ago at this party. And I'm like, seriously. So by now, it's like 1 something in the morning. And he asks me to crash on the couch with him at his friend's house. People I do not know and have never met. And like, I want to go home tonight. So I take his keys and I kick him and his roommate's butt into that fucking truck. And I made his roommate navigate me to their house, and I dropped these guys off, and I went the fuck home, and I got home at 5 o'clock in the morning. And you'll never guess what my dumbass does next. So I'm texting my mom throughout the night because she's wondering where I am, why I'm not home, blah, blah, blah. And I'm telling her about this terrible date and how this guy, I feel trapped because he took me somewhere and then drank and then couldn't drive. So I took that guy's truck and drove all of us home and get in my own vehicle and drive home. And I get home at like 5:30 a.m. And at 6 a.m., actually before that, when I dropped them off, his best friend was like, because he could tell how mad I was, He kept saying things to me like, I swear he's not normally like this. I swear I've never seen this side of him. I swear he's not that type of guy. Like, don't let tonight seal your fate. Like, don't let tonight be the decision about if you guys continue dating or not. Like, just give him a chance. So I get a text message at 6 a.m. from him apologizing, a lengthy message of, I'm so sorry, I got out of hand, I shouldn't have done that, blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, I gave him another chance and it ended up being another asshole, having another girl on the side, and then when I end it, he's Facebook official with her the very next day. Besides the point. The date was terrible.
I met this guy on Tinder and decided to go on a date with him. This is how he ate his salad.
How to find any men's Tinder. Seen this guy from Hinge and then he was like, I don't want anything serious, and I was like, okay, I know my worth, I'm gone. It was like a discount on my worth or something because I was like, I miss him. I was not going to embarrass myself and message him first after I left him on open. So I got Tinder Gold and it has like a travel thing on it. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, I set my location to his house. Not his street, his house. Set it to 1 kilometer and I found him. And we talked for like, I don't know. Oh, he's hot. Found him within a minute. Am I crazy? A little crazy, but that is okay. We talked for like a week after that and obviously he still did not want anything. Like, babe, it's fate. We matched on 2 dating sites. Like, I don't know if it shows your location on Tinder, just make sure you change it back after to your own location in case.
Tinder date from Little Hell Storytime. He literally sent me abusive messages calling me crazy, saying that I used him and that I was basically nuts. For no reason. So I'm 18 on Tinder. Matched with a guy. We're getting along pretty well. He lives really close, so I'm like, why not? Let's catch up. First date was like average, nothing that weird. Although he kept winking at me, being like, haha. And I'd be like, what? And he did it like 5 times. And I was like, hey, can you stop winking at me? I don't know why. Like, it just makes me feel uncomfortable. And then he's like, yeah, sure. I'm like, all right, whatever. Also, important part of the story, he told me that he was a virgin on our first date. And I said I didn't care, obviously, because why would I care? Anyway, second date, this is where it gets bad. We go bowling. A girl that I know, we're not really friends, we're more like mutual friends. She sees me at bowling and she's like, oh my god, hey, like I'm here with my boyfriend, I'll introduce you to him. She brings over her boyfriend and I'm like, hey, nice to meet you. Whatever. So the guy that I'm going on a date with, let's call him Bob. So Bob and I are walking out of bowling and he's not speaking to me. And I'm like, Bob, what's wrong? And he's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Kept saying, don't worry about it. And I was like, just tell me. And he was like, well, you could have like introduced me. I've known you for 2 days. I'm not introducing you to my friends or someone that is not even my friend. Honestly, if he said it in a nicer way, I would have just said sorry, but... Anyway, so we're driving home and he's like, Annalise, I have to tell you something. I've lied to you. And I'm like, what have you already lied to me about? I've known you for 2 days. So he pulls over the car dramatically and he's like, obviously I'm not a virgin. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm so embarrassed. Like I went clubbing and I lost my virginity to this like 30-year-old. I'm so embarrassed, so embarrassed. So I was like, okay, that's kind of odd that you lied about that. But anyway, so he's driving me home and he sees a group of people he used to be friends with. So he's like, oh my god, I can't believe they didn't invite me. So he parks in front of them and is just spying on them, staring at them whilst I'm in the car. So I'm just sitting in the car like, what is happening right now? Whilst we're in the car, I just wanted to make it very clear with him, like, hey, just letting you know, I'm not interested. I just got out of a relationship. I just got cheated on. You know, just not looking for anything at the moment. So I thought it was very clear that I didn't want to speak to him again. Anyway, drives me home and he's like, I need to ask you something. And I'm like, what do you need to ask me? He's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm like, just tell me. Like, just tell me. I hate beating around the bush. And he was like, when would you be ready to like do stuff with me? What? So I was like, I don't know, like maybe tomorrow, maybe never. I meant never. I get home, I'm barely messaging him because I'm weirded out, confused. He's just kind of rude and odd. I'm still replying here and there just to be nice. Eventually he sends me a paragraph like this bloody big saying that every time he goes on dates with girls, he gets used.
that he's such a nice guy, he doesn't know why this happens to him, that I've used him for nights out. Also, I'm pretty sure I paid for the second date, so it was like 50-50 paying for dates. So I didn't use him for anything. And he said that I used him for nights out. And I was like, why would I use you for nights out when I can have nights out with my friends? And then he was like, why would you even go on a date with me if you don't want a relationship? And I was like, look, I didn't know what I was looking for. I just wanted to go on a date, meet a new person. It made me realize, you know, like, I'm still in love with my ex, okay? I'm still in love with him. We'd only been broken up for like 3 months, so like, kind of valid. And then he was like, you're crazy, like, I can't believe you've said that, like, what you're saying is nuts. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I just said in the nicest way possible, hey, I'm not interested, best of luck, I still have feelings for my ex, sorry. He proceeds for the next, this was in 2019, he proceeds for the next 3 years to message me. Like, every 6 months, yeah, he would message me like, hey, how are you? Or like message me on Instagram and be like, oh my god, hi. And then he would delete the message when I wouldn't reply. Like, sir, it makes sense why this happens to you when you lie about random stuff on first dates. Say that I'm using you for dates when I paid for half the dates. Like, what?
Now, can we talk about the whole height fishing thing? So men lying about their height on a dating website is a reflection of societal pressure as well as the whole insecurities that surrounding their whole physical appearance, obviously. Height has been long associated with masculinity, strength, desirability, and in many cultures, which can lead to some men feeling inadequate and that they don't meet certain expectations for women in dating. But dating apps where the initial attraction is based off the limited information that you have, like the photos and maybe a bio, it can exacerbate this insecurity, prompting men to inflate their height. So you push it up just a little bit, I mean, in the hopes of making a stronger first impression, which is clearly not good. However, this tactic often backfires. I mean, when you meet the person in person, the whole discrepancy can lead to trust issues right from the start, and that's a bad way to start a date overall. So in the next clip, we'll call it height fishing gone wrong. Let's watch.
This is the story of how I got catfished. So I'm on Tinder. I'm 18. Says it all. So I've been talking to this guy for a while. In his bio, he has things like, I'm a mechanic. I can't actually remember if that's what he did, but for the sake of this video, he's a mechanic. So I'm a mechanic, I'm 6'4", I love animals, I have a pet dog, things like that. We're talking for a couple of weeks. He doesn't live far from me, so we decide to go to our local Nando's. Keep it calm, keep it casual. He's getting the train in, I'm getting the bus in. The train stop is like this end of the high street, and my bus is coming in at the bottom of the high street. So we decide to walk up and meet halfway. I'm walking up the high street. He texted me like, oh, I think I can see you. So I look up, I can see him in the distance, right? He told me what outfit he was wearing. I can see him in the distance. He looked really, really small, tiny. But I'm thinking, well, it's because he's far away. Like, the closer he'll get, the bigger he'll get. He was my height. I'm 5'3". He said he was 6'4" in his bio. How can you lie about your height when there's over a foot difference? I know guys do it where they're like 5'11" and they say they're 6 foot, or they're 5'9" and they say they're 5'10", that's fine. You can't say you're 6'4" and be 5'3". Height isn't even like this massive deal to me. Ideally, yes, I want a guy over 6 foot because it makes me feel cute and protected. But at the end of the day, if I really like someone, your height is not going to put me off. If I like you, I like you. But you can't lie about your height like that. If this ever happened to me now, I'd confront it straight away. Straight away, I would be like, why have you lied about your height? Like, you know I'm gonna know. You know I'm gonna see it. But 18-year-old Slaney, pretended like nothing had happened. I have dyscalculia and he knew that, so maybe he thought he could trick me. Because people with dyscalculia commonly cannot tell distances and heights. But I can tell the difference between 5'3" and 6'4". I can tell there's a difference. Anyway. Turned out to be the worst date of my life. And not because of his height. Comment for part 2. Oh. There are about 5 or 6 things that happened that... What the hell? 5 or 6 things that happened that I should have just walked out. But I had no confidence. Me now, if a date is bad, I'm gone straight away. I'll just get up and walk out. I won't even explain why. But 18-year-old me, she tolerated a lot. Too much. I tolerated too much. Comment if you want to know why this was the worst date of my life. Okay, the worst date I've ever been on. I can't even remember if I gave this guy a fake name, so we're going to call him Peter. Flipping Peter. So I've ignored the fact that he lied about his height. My mistake number one. We go into Nando's. We're shown our seats by a lovely little waitress. As soon as we sit down and this waitress is out of earshot, he says, she was hot. She was hot. Don't do that. Don't. When you're on a date, you don't do that. You just don't. My eyes look massive with this eyeliner. So he's just told me someone else is hot and I'm like, right, okay. But in my head, I'm like gaslighting myself thinking, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm just insecure. Maybe that's why I don't want to hear it. Maybe it's me. Wasn't me. We start talking about what we want to order. I'm a basic bitch, always gets the same thing. Double chicken wrap with halloumi. Lemon and herb. I don't like spice. I can't handle it. I'm white. We then go up to the counter and order our food. He orders way more than me, but that's fine. He's a growing lad. We then sit back down. He's chatting about himself for like 20 minutes, which is fine. Listen, I'm more of a listener than a talker. I much prefer listening to people than talking about myself. Unless it's TikTok, then it's all about me. But in real life, I'm definitely a listener. He's going on about himself, not asking anything about me, but I'm like, okay, some people are just like that, it's fine. And then we're talking, and you know when you can tell that someone isn't looking at you anymore, they're looking past you, they're looking over your shoulder. He's looking over my shoulder, so I'm getting a bit paranoid, so I turn around to see what he's looking at, and it's a group of girls. My man went, you know that blonde one? And I look again, but like they're all blonde, so I'm like, yeah, like I don't even care which one he's talking about. I just want to know what he's going to say. Yeah, that blonde one, I f***ed her. Okay. Why would you tell me that? Like, listen, not on a first date. And not like that. It's the way, like, it was such disrespect at, like, I f***ed it. Like, I can't stand that kind of thing. Like, if I had sex with a guy and he wants to tell someone about it, you better say we had sex. Not, oh, I f***ed her. Listen, I f***ed you. That girl probably f***ed you. You probably lay there doing nothing. So I'm sort of there like speechless. Like, I don't know if it's a joke. Like, I'm waiting for him to start laughing and telling me it's a joke. When he sees my face, he meant, oh, but not to make you feel bad. The fuck do you mean? Are you talking about not making me feel bad? I should have left. If that ever again, ugh, I hate myself. I hate the old version of me. I hate Lauren. Right, I'm Slaney now. That was Lauren. Lauren stayed. Slaney didn't stay. Slaney didn't stay. Slaney didn't stay. Slaney would have left. Lauren stayed. He then finally, right, so we've got past that. He then asked me about my job. I worked in planning permission at the time. I get that it's a boring job. It was very boring. But as I'm explaining like what I would actually do in planning permission, he went like that, held up his finger to me, and he's like, I've just got to go to the bathroom. So I'm like, okay, fine, interrupt me, fine. He was like 10 minutes. The food arrived. The food arrived while he was in the bathroom. So at this point, I'm thinking like, what the fuck is he doing in there? What is he doing? Like, I know what he's doing in there. But I was wrong. What I thought he was doing, I wish he was doing. Because when he came and sat down, on my life, powder all over his little nostril. I did the little, you know that little sarcastic, like, you've got something there. My man went, oh. He snorted it. Now I'm texting my friends, right? Now I don't even care about the food anymore. I'm not even hungry anymore. I'm texting my friends, text me with an emergency. He then starts looking around the table and he's like, they forgot my rice. This stupid waitress forgot my rice. I don't like people who talk about waitresses like that, or waiters, like whoever. So the waitress walks by, so he calls her over. He tells her about the rice fiasco. She goes back to the counter, she comes back and she's like, oh, it wasn't even included in your order. You didn't even ask for rice. I don't remember whether he did or didn't, but it wasn't on the receipt. So she goes off and she's like, do you want me to put this rice order in? He's like, no, I'll do it myself. She goes off. Why did Peter think it would be okay to scrabble through his wallet for like a £5 note, chuck it at me and ask me to get it? Don't chuck money at me. And if you are going to chuck money at me, make sure it's $1 million. Don't chuck a £5 at me. I left at that point. I very discreetly put my clutch under my arm, took his £5 and said, yeah, I'll go get the rice. And then I just walked out. I didn't make a scene, He thought I was going to get his rice. He thought I was actually going to go get his rice. Walked out and then spent it getting a cab home. And the most upsetting part about it is I'd only eaten half my wrap. I didn't even finish my wrap. I should have finished my wrap and then walked out. At least he paid for it all though. That's the cost of wasting my time. It actually makes me sick. Sick that I didn't walk out. I should have left as soon as he lied about his height, because if you can lie about your height, what else are you capable of lying about? And as I walked out of that restaurant, I was blocking his number. I deleted my whole Tinder account. I was done with Tinder at that point. Blocked his number and blocked his Instagram. And a couple of years later, I was walking down the high street, because I was still living in the same area then. I was walking down the high street and I saw him. Imagine I ran behind a tree. I ran behind a tree.
Well, no better place to start than the beginning, right? So I get there, and I'm thinking, face exactly the same. However, we do have some different ideas of what 5'9" looks like. I stand 5'8". If 5 plus 5 is 10, 10 plus 10 is 20. Sir, you're 5'7". I'm looking down at you. There's strike one right away. But I'm not shallow. I say I'm gonna stick it out. You know, what if this person is an amazing person? Height is nothing to me, regardless if I'm looking down at him, right? No big deal. He hugs me, his head hits right about here. I'm not mad about it. I'm literally not. Then we get to the next part. He's like, hey, I'm gonna introduce you to my dog. Like, she's gonna warm up to you after 5 minutes. It's gonna be totally fine. She's a sweetheart. I think, no biggie. I love dogs. And not within 1 minute of that dog on the leash, he brings her outside. She lunges and bites me in the leg. Nala, why? Literally, why? I didn't provoke the dog. I didn't even come near the dog. She bites me. So I'm thinking, strike two, you know? It's been literally within the first 5 minutes, I have been height fished and bitten by his dog, Nala. For context as well, I was Ubered to his place because he lives further than the domain. So it's like a 25-minute drive, you know? So he was like, I'll Uber you out there, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking, what a gentleman. This is great. Got bit by the dog. Then we get there. And the height fishing. So we're 2 strikes right now. So I'm thinking, let's just go for the little motorcycle ride. That's what the whole plan was anyway. Just a little ride around the neighborhood. Wrong. I looked down at the GPS and we're 5 minutes into the ride. Tell me why we're on Texas 45 North. I left my handbag in his garage and we're on Texas 45 North going like 95 miles an hour, you guys. And I'm wearing this. I'm in this outfit. We're going so fast. I'm scared shitless. My helmet isn't even like on. This is up. It was hellish, you guys. It was hellish. So I'm sitting there like tears all streaming on my face and shit. And he's like, how was the ride? And I'm like, oh, it was so shitty. It was literally terrible. I felt awful. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, bitch, you know, like, did you go that fast? Like, I thought we were going around the neighborhood. You didn't tell me shit. I don't have any of my stuff. He's like, oh, I thought we would just go to the Oasis, like, and have a little appetizer. I'm like, I don't have my purse. I don't have any of my shit. I thought you were gonna dump me in the middle of nowhere, you fucking freak. And he's like, I'm really sorry, you know, like, I'll get you an Uber. I'm like, that would be great. That would just be awesome. And I'm like, while you're at it, doctor, how about you check out my dog bite? And I was so fucking mad. I could not. And then to top it all off, it was, to be honest, I'm going to go back to the shallow thing. How are you going to be 5'9" and I'm looking over you? That's ridiculous. And I'll just never forget when I peered over him and on the bike and looked at the GPS and I'm like, I-45 North? I was like, what? To put a long story short, I was height fished by a 5'6" man with a rabid little dog and a Ducati who took me off on a joyride at 100 miles an hour with literally zero protective gear. And it was miserable. And so if you guys had fun today, just know that I didn't, and yeah. You guys don't think I'm making this up. This is a text I just fucking received from the man. I will insert it here. Should I send in my Venmo? So, update. I'm weighing the goods and the bads, you guys. I think I'm gonna call him again.
I matched with this guy on Tinder. He's smart, he's good looking, he's my age. He suggests that for our first date we go to the gym. This man is for real trying to hit leg day. And then me at the same time. I text him back, I'm like, hey man, the first time we go on a date, you're not gonna watch me struggle. He deadass responds, yes it will, come on, let's go. I am not playing hard to get with you right now. I am seconds away from crying real tears. My arms have the voluptuous diameter of linguine. I can't do a push-up. Before you're like, you can't do a push-up. No, like I can't even lower myself to the ground, let alone push myself back up. This is just like not a world where this is gonna happen ever. I told him I would love to, but I have plans to scrub toilets, pluck my eyelashes out one by one, and then snitch on prisoners out in the open with no protection. All of which I'd rather do than go to the gym with you for our first date. My best friend and
and I have a plan that if we are not married by 40, we will just get married, have a kid, and live in a house and accept that everyone thinks that we're lesbians, when really the dating pool is just so shallow, it's a puddle of water filled with malaria. Every day, that possibility gets so much more ripe and real in my life.
I went on a date with an Indian man, and it was the worst experience of my life. You won't believe who he invited on our date. So this happened while I was living and dating in New York City, matched with this cute Indian guy on Tinder, very smart, successful, and on a few dates, and in the beginning he was very upfront and straightforward with me, and he told me that he was best friends with one of his exes. He told me that his family was friends with her family, and that at one point they tried to set up an arranged marriage with them, but there was just no chemistry or attraction. Usually I'm the jealous type, but I decided to let this go because he was really, really nice. So cut to a couple weeks later, he invites me to go and meet his friends for the first time, which I thought was like a really huge step for us. We were all going to go do karaoke in K-Town. So he reserved a room, I get there, I meet his friends. They all seem very, very nice, and as the evening progresses, something really weird is happening. I noticed that one girl in the group is drinking a lot. And as she continues to do so, she's getting more and more emotional. And at one point she starts crying and she storms out of the karaoke room. The guy I'm dating looks at me and says that he needs to go and check on her, so he leaves too. Half an hour goes by and I'm like, okay, this is a little bit weird. They haven't come back yet. So I leave the karaoke room, I head down the hallway, and I see that there is an empty karaoke room where both of them are sitting. She is bawling her eyes out and he has his arm around her and he's consoling her. I pop my head in and I'm like, hey guys, what's up? What's going on? Did anyone pass away? He like shoos me away and says, everything's fine. Like, she just had a really rough day. I'm trying to help her. So I then leave, and after waiting like another half hour, 45 minutes, I'm like, I'm done with this. So I take my things and I go. I send him a text message saying that that was extremely rude. And then he has the audacity to text me back and tell me that is actually his ex-girlfriend. She was just really upset and caught off guard because she wasn't expecting to meet me that night. So then he tells me he wants to make it up to me by taking me out for dinner, to which I'm like, no thank you, sir. He never went on to speak or hang out again, but I do still follow him on social media. Don't know what his relationship status is, but I do see his ex-girlfriend in a lot of his photos. That experience left such a bad taste in my mouth that I actually stayed away from dating Indian men after that. Let me know what you guys think. Like, is this normal? Did I overreact?
Oh, pardon my ignorance. I'm really trying to see the correlation with the man being Indian and the days gone horribly wrong. Help me out in the comment section. Anyhow, let's have a discussion about this whole splitting the bill on a first date or going Dutch. Splitting the bill on the first date obviously has sparked a lot of different options, largely influenced by cultural norms and personal values and expectations, of course, around this whole dating role. Traditionally, it is known that many expected the person who initiated the date have to pay for the date. Usually, it's the men. However, society has evolved and having some expectation or equalness or fairness in relationships, leading to more people to feel comfortable with preferring to split the bill. I mean, my question for you is, how do you feel about splitting a bill on a first date? I'm still kind of iffy about that.
I got back from a date and I have to share. I think I'm done with dating. I can't. I think I finally understand why people settle, because this is so horrible and miserable. I just, like, what? Okay, so I went on a date tonight. This guy and I have been talking. He's like, let's do dinner. I'm like, beautiful, let's do dinner. I go to dinner and whatever, you know, you get to a date and you instantly within 3 seconds you're like, nah, this is not it. That was it. Good looking guy, nothing about that. It's more of just like, you just don't vibe, right? And like, whatever. I'm like, you know what, Vanessa, like, give the guy a chance. Let's see how this goes, whatever. Honestly, the date was fine. The interesting part though is, so we don't order till really late. We're having a drink, we're talking. We have the food. I barely eat. At this point, I'm like, it's so late. I'm not even like wanting to eat. I'm not hungry, blah, blah. We already had ordered food, but he was like, I really want the chicken. I was like, you know what, dude, like, get the chicken. Like, I'm not hungry, but like, get the chicken. Like, good for you, get it. Like, okay, great. Now the chicken is here and it's this full meal that neither one of us is gonna eat. I don't touch it for like 10 minutes. He's like, oh, like, are you gonna eat that? I was like, no, like, I'm so full, like, please have it. Fast forward I am like waiting for the waitress to come. I'm like, just bring us the goddamn check. I am so done. I need to go home. I'm exhausted. I have nothing left to say. Like at this point, I'm overhearing the conversation next door because they're speaking in Spanish. I'm like, ¿qué? That's how bored I am right now. But mind you, I'm like trying to be nice and like have a good time, but I really want the waitress to come. She picks everything up and I'm like, you know what? Like he didn't finish the chicken. Of course, because how much food had we ordered and none of us were hungry, or neither one of us were hungry. I'm like, you know what though? Like, you should take the chicken home. Like, for sure. Enjoy, sir. Enjoy. Okay. But in my head, I'm like, he literally, I've barely eaten. I ate like 2 appetizers. Half of like the 2 or 3 appetizers that we ordered. Like, that's all I've eaten. And he like had this full chicken, right? So the check comes and he just lets it sit there, which is one of my biggest pet peeves. Like, I hate seeing a check sit there because it's just like, so are you paying? Am I paying? Like, what's happening? Like, you're obviously not grabbing it. So, and I'm trying, again, we're trying to leave. So I grab my credit card and just put it down, me thinking that this man is going to put his credit card down. He grabs the check and he goes, you sure you don't want to just split it? Like, let's just split it. You know, I had more food than you. And in my head, I'm like, where did you think we weren't splitting it at this point? Like, I put my credit card, if I put my credit card down on a first date, there's not a second, I want to leave, let's go. Like, yes, we're splitting it, let's go. I was like, no, yeah, let's split it. Like, yeah. So he puts his credit card down, but also, sir, you ate most of the food you're taking home. And not only what he was taking home the chicken, he's like, actually, I'll take home the rest of the salad. Like, man has an entire lunch or dinner for tomorrow. I just paid for his dinner tomorrow, apparently. And also, if you're asking me on a first date, to dinner, your idea to go to dinner, have the decency to like treat a girl at least to the first date. Like, and again, I know people are going to come out after me and be like, she just wants to get free food. No, I really don't. I sat down and I was like, this is why I don't do dinner for first dates. I would much rather be at home eating by myself a home cooked meal. I'd be much happier than what I was for the whole night. He's like, oh, how are you getting home? Are you going to take the train? And I'm like, no, it's 11:20. Like, I'm not taking the train. Like, a woman in New York City taking the train at 11:20 on a Tuesday when no one's out? Absolutely. Again, teach their own. For me, absolutely not. So I'm like, no, I'm just going to take an Uber. He's like, oh, like, I mean, I'm actually only 5 stops away, so I'm just going to take the train. And I'm like, so not only am I splitting this dinner with you, you also chose a location that was significantly closer to your house. I am on the Upper West Side. I live in the East Village. So not only did I have to pay for this man's meal, but also for an entire expensive Uber ride home. So, you know, $110 later, here we are telling strangers that I am done dating. Except I realized on my way home that I already agreed to a date on Thursday and a different date on Friday. Why? I have no idea. I might as well just cancel at this point.
I was told a really disturbing story recently, and it's taken me a little while to be able to put this video together because, yeah, it's quite frightening, but I do feel like it could raise awareness and potentially help someone stay out of danger. So if you use Tinder, this video is for you. So this actually happened to a friend of a friend of a friend. So I don't actually know the person. So if this is you, I do apologise, but I was told this story and I do think that sharing it could help, potentially help someone. So a lady, she was speaking to a guy on Tinder. They were talking for a couple of weeks. They hadn't FaceTimed, but they were talking on the phone and WhatsApping constantly. They arranged to meet at a bar in London, a bar that he chose. On the day, she said she felt a little bit uneasy, so she decided to ask her best friend to come with her. So her best friend went into the bar first, where she was meeting this guy. Let's call him Adam, and we'll call her Jane. So Jane's friend has gone into the bar about 5 minutes before Jane did. Jane then goes in, going in to meet Adam. So Adam's not there when Jane gets there. Jane's waiting there for about 10 minutes. Her friend is in eyesight at the bar. So she's just waiting at the bar, just making sure everything's okay. Adam then walks in. Now she notices straight away that Adam's pictures had definitely been enhanced. He looked different to the pictures what she'd shown. Now he had a Essex accent. So he sat down, they've had a little chat, they're talking, they're getting on fine. Jane then says, right, I'm just going to pop to the loo, because they were talking about going to another bar. So she gets up, goes to the toilet. Her friend is watching. As her friend watches, she notices Adam put something in to Jane's drink. She then runs towards the toilet to let Jane know. When she told Jane this, Jane said something does feel off. There's something about this person. It's just not sitting right with me. Something's not sitting right. So Jane's friend then says, fine, let's leave. They walk towards the exit of the bar. As they're leaving, there is a large van outside with 5 men. They're all looking at the girls, looking at them in a strange way, as if they recognise Jane. All of a sudden, Adam comes running out of the bar towards them. Jane and her friend start to run towards the main road, and Adam starts to shout at them in a different language. They said they're not sure what language it was, but the men that he was with outside, they looked Eastern European. So they all then were together, and Jane believes that they were trying to kidnap her, or trying to drug her and get her into that van. Now, this story gave me chills. And I've actually tried to film this video about 4 times now and struggled, because imagine that. Like, I wouldn't even want to imagine that. So please, guys, if you are using online dating, there are so many different things that can go wrong. You don't know who these people are, so please always make sure you FaceTime them. You know exactly who you're talking to. Check if they have social media. Just be really, really wary. Meet in a place that you know, that you've chosen, somewhere there's lots of people around.
Hi guys, happy Saturday. I just wanted to make a quick little video about awareness and the dangers of actually meeting people you don't know. I had Tinder, and a lot of you know Tinder's a dating app, to try and find like some friends, or you know, maybe a decent guy, because I got really desperate, couldn't find anyone in my town, so I thought, you know what, I'll get Tinder, I'll see what happens. I agreed to meet a guy at a pub here where I live. I was actually across the road at the hairdressers, so I could see when he got there because I was across the road. I seen him pull up an hour early. He kept getting in and out his car really frustrated, like he was in, then he was out, then he was in, then he went in the pub, then he come out, was acting like sort of suspicious. He had something on a belt. I could be wrong, but like it looked like some sort of like pocket knife or something. And he put his shirt over it, so I couldn't see what it was, and obviously I couldn't see that far anyway, but it sort of looks suspicious. So I blocked him. I thought, I'm not going over there. He doesn't even look anything like his photos on Tinder, so I was sort of creeped out by that. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going over there. So I blocked him, and then when I left the hairdressers, like an hour after the time we were meant to meet there, he was still there, and it's nearly like he was stalking and somehow knew I was across the road. He was in his car, hanging out the window across the road. I was in my car at the time. I didn't take off until I seen him drive through the lights. He was waiting down the road for me because I had to go that way. He full on stopped. There was no cars in front of him. Stopped in the middle of the road. It was double lane road. And was hanging out the window, waving his hands around. And then he got in front of me and tried to put his brakes on, like slammed his brakes in front of me, trying to make me hit him or trap my car or something. I was quite scared at that point. And then he went up on the nature strip next to me, the other side of my car. And I thought, oh my God, he's gonna hit my car. He's gonna come onto my car, because he was in a much bigger car than mine. He was in a full wheel drive sort of thing. It had a bull bar, was huge compared to my car, so it was quite intimidating. And then he just like drove off, like through, there was like a dirt paddock there, and he drove through the dirt paddock and left. I was so scared. I was thinking, oh my God, is he going to follow me home? Like, he full on had road rage with me and was hanging out the window. Like, if you're going to meet someone on Tinder, make sure you go to a public place first. And if they don't look like the person on Tinder, like if their photos are completely different to what they look like, don't meet them. So yeah, girls and guys, anyone that has Tinder or a dating app, be careful, because you don't know who these people are. Like, a lot of the time they're on there and they're single for a reason. Like, sometimes you can find decent people on there, sometimes there's lovely people on Tinder, but just be careful. Be very, very careful with who you trust and who you see, because it's very easy to get to people that are crazy. So yeah, I'm gonna end this video now. Bye guys.
So that wraps up our wild ride in today's Tinder horror stories gone completely wrong. So it is clear that while online dating can lead to some hilarious, unbelievable experiences, and they are also TikTok worthy, it can teach us a valuable lesson that trust, commitment, and of course, safety. Don't leave that out. So remember, not every swipe leads to a happily ever after, or you get to ride off in the sunset, but you should always stay cautious about your wits about you. And of course, you know, make a fast in your business. Drop your dating horror stories down in the comment section below, because I know we'd all love to hear them. As usual, guys, if you have enjoyed the content and you have reached thus far and you haven't liked the video yet, now is your time to go ahead and smash that thumbs up button for your girl. Click the post notification so you'll be notified every time I upload a video. And if you want to see more relatable, laughable, cringe-worthy story times like these, you can go ahead and click the up next video right here on your screen. And as per usual, guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Jody, and I aspire to inspire. Until next time, guys, walk good.